Americans understand that their success is time and Miami Fort Lauderdale.
You're supposed to be selling education. You're supposed to be selling the improvement of someone's life. And I don't think anybody I worked with thought in any way, shape, or form that people's lives were being improved.
He was just so slick and so good that I think that he knew he had someone that nibbled on the line, and he yanked the hook.
You know that people in high places in government offices and stuff, they have to understand that this is wrong.
Florida's career colleges are frequently tucked away in strip malls. They can be easy to overlook. They don't have Division I football teams like state universities, but the schools, which are mostly run for profit, serve roughly 300,000 students spread out over 1,000 campuses. Billions of dollars in federal financial aid has flowed to Florida's for-profits, along with millions in state money. It's big business. While some students do graduate and get jobs, others say they were pressured or lied to by school recruiters. In their damaged lives, it was all a big mistake.
There's so many different scenarios that make people vulnerable, and mine was just one.
Rose Greer was caring for her terminally ill husband when she realized she should go back to school and begin a new career to support the family once he died. Greer spoke to an Argosy University recruiter who she says offered her a quick online degree with no out-of-pocket expenses.
So I went ahead and I committed, but I said, you have to reassure me that that grant will cover everything. And he said, oh, yeah, it'll cover everything, because if you only take a couple classes, you're going to be fine. I took a class, and I took two Get the Cobwebs Out classes. Then I took an English class, and I was working on that, and I got a bill, an absorbent bill, and I called the school, and I said, I can't afford this. I was told that the Pell Grant would cover everything I needed to cover, and now I'm getting this $5,000 bill, and I know for sure, and in good conscience, I have to drop out.
Argosy responded that students receive a financial aid award letter from the university detailing all funding, which at the time of Miss Greer's enrollment was required to be signed and acknowledged by award recipients. For-profit schools have existed for decades in the form of barber colleges and other trade schools, but the 2000s brought online education and weakened federal regulation, and the industry exploded.
Level of uncertainty. That's good enough for investors today. Shares of Corinthian colleges are up nearly 25%.
Most students now attend schools owned by Wall Street corporations or private equity firms. To boost enrollments and profits, at least dozens of former school employees say they were pressured to deceive or manipulate students. Vince Martin spent 18 months as a recruiter for Everest University.
Our target market was people who lived in crisis, just about. From the student side, we're admissions advisors, okay? We're, by definition of the title, and because of the industry, has a certain nobility to it, to the uninformed. They're valuing our guidance, and our guidance has, the only guidance there is to get the person into school and get them to sign their financial loan and financial aid paperwork and get that done. And they would thank me at that point. And I think that's probably, depending on who you are, either where you feel the most guilt or you laugh the hardest.
For-profit colleges have sometimes rewarded recruiters who bring in the most signups with free resort retreats. But some former employees have turned against the industry and complain of a culture of greed. Some filed whistleblower lawsuits. There are thousands of Florida student complaints. But Curtis Austin, executive director of the Trade Association for Florida's Career Colleges, says most operators do a good job.
One of my daughters is a graduate of a for-profit institution, got her CNA license there. Took 6 months after she graduated to be able to do so. And I would send any of my family, I would personally attend any one of those schools because I think that the quality of education is good. And it's specifically, the education that we provide is provided for people who are working adults. And so they can actually get in, get a class, and get out. I have full confidence in that. I go to people, the people who take care of me medically are graduates of our institutions. The people who feed me are graduates of our institutions. I know where all of the culinary graduates are in Tallahassee. It's where I go to eat. And I have to tell you, the people who cut my hair, graduates of our institutions.
One Miami-based for-profit, Azure College landed in hot water with the federal government last year. At 2 campuses, Azure was accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in Pell Grants and student loans without the government's permission. One of those problem campuses was in the small Central Florida town of Sebring. Nursing students there chose Azure because they were promised that they could get financial aid. Then halfway through their program, the federal government audited the school and halted the unauthorized Pell Grants and loans. Students were left with no way to finish paying for their degree, and their credits wouldn't transfer to other schools.
From the beginning, we were all confused. I remember applying for financial aid, and when you go to click on what campus we're on, it said there was no Sebring campus. It was only Miami. And that was immediately a red flag, I think, for all of us. But we had never been to school. We all have families, and so we just kind of went with it. We went with what they were telling us.
Azure students say the school fraudulently listed them as attending the Miami campus to obtain the federal funds. Just months into the program, a mandatory meeting was made with the students and school owner, Jhonson Napoleon.
He tells us that financial aid had been suspended, the way he put it, and that we would no longer be able to receive that for the time being, but that he wanted us all to email the Department of Education and make complaints to hopefully overturn that decision, and that his advisor, whoever that may be, I don't think we ever received a name, had given him bad advice, which is why we were losing financial aid.
Napoleon said he received bad financial advice and made an honest mistake.
I went to Sebring, I apologized to those students, and tell them, listen, I am sorry it happened that way. I did not call on it, but I'm ready to move on. And what we do, first of all, I offered every student a free transcript of whatever education they completed at Azure College. And I offered them, and it's not offered them, I told them that financial aid, federal government, requires us to pay that money back. So basically every penny taxpayer, as far as taxes, is going back to the federal government. Every penny for Pell Grant is going back to the government. So if they choose to stay with me, then we will forgive whatever money they had. We will pay that money back to the federal government, and then we will move forward with them.
Just starting in the nursing in 1 year, RN in 1 year, or BSN in
The heavy marketing of Florida's for-profit colleges is one reason for their explosive growth, but it's not the only reason. Florida's legislature has passed at least 15 laws since 2009 that help the industry expand. At the same time, for-profits donated generously to political campaigns. Coral Gables-based Dade Medical College has gone beyond campaign checks and put politicians on the company payroll or steered money to them in other ways. Dade Medical gave the wife of former Homestead Mayor Steve Bateman about $100,000 in secret payments. At the same time, the mayor pushed a land sale that the college wanted. Miami State Representative Eric Frezin, who in the past sponsored legislation that benefited for-profit colleges, now says the industry needs greater government oversight.
Too many ill-intended folks see way too big of an opportunity to get into something to make a quick buck, right? So I do think that aspect of it is systemic. I do think that is a problem. I don't think private education is a problem, per se, or a systemic problem, right? Because I see too many good cases of good private schools, whether not for profit or for profit. I think the problem is that it now is at a scale. It's at a scale where it is a major problem, and we have to address it, is because too many people have been able to come into that game, even if they're the big dogs, whatever it may be, but the practices that they perpetuate, they do so, certainly ill-intended, but because the system allows them to do it. The system is so easy, it's so easy to be gamed that they're doing it.
As long as the system continues to be easily gamed, schools continue to profit, and students continue to be the ones who pay the ultimate price, financially and emotionally.
They know when they have a sucker, and they know, and I felt very, very duped and embarrassed.
It went from a complete high and feeling of accomplishment to embarrassment that I was even associated with that school.
Shame on you for taking our dreams and crushing them, because that's what it's done for me.
For anybody that I enrolled, I'm just very sorry. It was a mistake.